Yes.
I am psychically asking for big smiling friendly faces. Okay, all right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I heard if you ask, you will receive.
Yes.
Except for the ones who don't want to give it to you. Is that the way? That's the way it pretty much works, right? So I'm trying to focus my attention on the ones that give it to me, and then bless and release the ones that don't. According to my plan, I'll end up with more and more people who love me and I love. Does that sound like a reasonable plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you could give me the leftovers.
Yeah, I'll give you the leftovers.
Or you just go find your own.
So we're gonna work. You can find your own leftovers. No. Thanks for coming out to the Way of Mastery tonight. We're gonna be in part 2, the Way of Transformation. And we're going to be on page 227 in lesson 18 in the book, the question that will determine your tomorrows. So you know the way we do it. We stick really close to the book, and then I go through it, and then we throw it open and give us a chance to talk about it, see if we can give ourselves a clearer understanding of it, and then move on. So that we're doing this together. So tonight it says we're going to deal with the question that will determine your tomorrows. The question that will determine what's going to happen next. We close this lesson with a question for you to answer for yourself. Not to discuss. Not to analyze, not to ruminate over, and don't ruminate on nobody else in the room either. But merely to sit in what appears to be your private realm and ponder and answer, for unless this question is answered, there can be no movement. There is no movement unless this question is answered. How the question is answered will determine your tomorrows. So how you answer this question will determine your tomorrows. And you are going to have an infinite number of tomorrows. That's a good news if you're enjoying yourself. That's depressing news if you're not sometimes, right? And it says, the question is simply this: do you recognize that you have already been everywhere? You've already been every when. Do you know that? In the illusion of being separate, you have been around. All of you, you've been around. You've already done everything and been everywhere you can go and you can do, in the idea of thinking that you're separate. Would you be willing right now, in the quiet privacy of your own mind and heart, to use the power of awareness that has been given you to decide to be love? We've done it all, so now will you decide to be love? Now will you decide to be free?
Yes.
You've done it all. You've been everywhere. You've done it all. He says, now will you decide to be love? Now, we know that we don't have to believe this. We don't have to accept this. We don't have to welcome this. Some of it's going to be hard to believe. Some of it's going to be startling. We're not being asked, like it said, to analyze it at all. But it says if you use it, what? You'll see that it works. So this is the question. Are you ready to decide to be free? Are you ready to decide to be free? To be love? But the only thing you will have done, I love this, it says, now Some of you will have just felt a feeling of fear come up. Some of you would have felt some resistance come up. Some of you will feel a sudden thought rushing through your awareness that this is a bunch of nonsense. What you mean I've been everywhere? What you mean I've already done it all? I haven't even been to Boulder. Right? It doesn't seem like you've done it all. It doesn't maybe not seem like you've been everywhere and done it all. But if you give the fear the power of reality, then you will have effectively delayed the answering of the question. In other words, if you listen to the thought that tells you that that's nonsense, you would have done the same thing. But the only thing you will have done is this, and please listen carefully. The only thing that you would have done, he says this, you will only have delayed a moment that will not be forsaken. You will have only delayed the inevitable. In other words, if we don't decide to be love now, if we don't decide to be free now, then you just make that decision again somewhere down the road. But that's just delaying the decision to happen. So he says, for your journey home has already long since begun, and once that journey begins, the end is certain. So once you decide to go back to love, it's certain you're going to end up there. There's, that how the movies used to end, and they lived happily ever after. That's what the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery is promising. That we will end up exactly where we started, in God, in love, in freedom, in joy, in peace.
Nice.
Okay? I love the analogy that some of you heard me use in the past about the roller coaster. Right? You get on the roller coaster, you end up where?
Back where you started.
You end up back where you started, okay? But then while you're making that journey, some people are screaming their heads off in fear, right? And then some people are just, woo, they're having the best time they ever had in their life and they're smiling. We're on the roller coaster. Some of us are having a great time on the roller coaster. Some of us are screaming in fear, right? And then it said, so what is the purpose of studying these kind of books? So that you can enjoy the ride. Give you a new way to look at the ride. We're gonna all end up back where we started, in love. These type books just remind us of that. So that we can enjoy the ride, the ups and downs, the roller coaster. So he says, push against it as you will, but when you try to stop your momentum toward total happiness, he says, you're like a gnat shouting at the universe, my will be done, not God's. So right now, in whatever area of your life that you're not happy in, you're saying, my will be done, not God's. So wherever I'm experiencing conflict and fear and guilt and lack or unhappiness, according to this, that's where I'm doing my will. So love is just waiting.
Yay.
Come over here, love.
Love is waiting. We going through all our stuff. Everywhere, up and down, worried, studying, our plans, all the things. Love is like. Love waits on welcome, not on time. Choose then, beloved friends, to embrace the only answers those questions can have. Those answers are truth based on what is real. So we're coming here because we want the truth based on what's real. With your embracing of what's real, that's when the moment of your liberation is at hand. So, Christ, the one self we all share, that's what Christ is. The one self we all share descends gently to begin to make his home where once the illusion that you were separate once seemed to reign. Okay, so do you want what's real? Yes. Since I want what's real, that's going to allow love to descend on me and dispel my fear. So the end is always one thought away. The solution to everything that bothers you is one thought away. Everything you want is one thought away. How can you tell when you're following the way? It is easy.
It's that easy.
How can you tell when the way is easy? It's without effort. So according to this, when you're following your way, it's easy and it takes no effort. I got the feeling that a bunch of us have detoured
Oh, yeah.
just a little
Oh, yeah,
bit off of
sure.
our way.
Yeah.
Am I psychic?
Yes.
We love you and we are always with you. That's what our invisible brothers and sisters are saying to us. The wimps. Because if they would really had courage, they'd be in here with us. They're not exactly impressing me. Anybody can be okay out of the body. Yeah. It takes guts and not insanity to want to be in this. So your way rests in the power to decide. So your way should be easy. Your way should be without effort. Your way is a thought away, and your way frees you. And you've already done everything there is to do in the body. You are just that old as souls. That's why you get so frustrated. Because you've been through it a gazillion times in a gazillion different ways. By the time you get interested in something that's this counterculture and this opposite to what we've taught, you can't be a person that's just landed.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be in a class like this if you were new to this dream. So you're an old rusty soul. It's been around so long. Now like the Tin Man on the Wizard of Oz. I didn't know how Dorothy found him. So he says, we will never, ever, ever contract from any experience or thought you choose, for it is our delight to extend the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Okay? So I love you, which means I won't contract from any experience you choose. Like he was saying earlier about love waiting on welcome. So I love you, so I'm going to still love you no matter what experience you choose.
Write that down.
Because I won't write that down. As a matter of fact, it's already written down. You would ask me to do something that's already been done. So this must be my way. It was easy and without effort. That's right. That's right. It's already written down.
Say that again, I didn't write it down. Wait.
It's already written down. It's right there. I'm going slow because that's what it says do.
Yeah.
It says go slow. Go slow. We need it. We need it slow. Is that right, Cheryl?
It is. Because we're old and
I love it. Can this be but love being extended to God's creation, you, the holy child of God? Could this be just love being extended? Beautiful are you. And notice it's got an exclamation mark. Beautiful are you. Radiant are you. You are beautiful. You are radiant. You are beautiful. You are radiant. You are beautiful. You are radiant. I am beautiful. I am radiant. I am beautiful. I am radiant. I am beautiful. I am radiant. I am beautiful. You are beautiful. You are beautiful and radiant. You are beautiful and radiant. Radiant. Innocent, are you? Are you innocent?
Yes.
Are you powerful?
Yes.
Are you eternal?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you free?
Yes.
Do you always realize it?
No.
Are you loved?
Yes.
So we cherish you. We cherish you now. We cherish you forever. This is so loving. Y'all gotta help me get through this. Okay? Y'all help?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Practice well and enjoy the next 30 days. Be you therefore at peace, beloved friends. Amen. Now before we go to lesson 19, which is really deep, any comments about that? Any questions about what we just covered?
I did have a comment, Earl. The part where it says, we will never, ever contract from any experience or thought you choose. Hearing that is just such a big weight off my shoulders, because then I'm realizing that it isn't dependent on me at all. I could like flounder and fall, and it isn't dependent on me. It's dependent on the love of God, or the divine. And so that's what I need to be trusting in and allowing, in the faithfulness and the faithfulness of the love of God. Because it doesn't have anything to do with me.
That's why you can count on it happening.
Oh, you're so passionate saying that, Chris.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. I felt that. That was awesome.
Thank you, brother.
I had a pretty great realization, this part where how I can tell if I'm following God's way is I can tell when it's easy and without effort. And before I was thinking, well, that was my definition of what easy and effortless was. But the truth is that everything can be easy and effortless if I surrender and allow and open to it and don't try and control it and make it the way I think it's supposed to be. So it's only my own self that's making it not easy and not effortless.
Right, which is what it said when it said, what you're saying is my will be done,
Yeah,
not God's.
yeah,
That's a big realization.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that this spiritual teaching refers to us as a gnat.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, that's how little we are. We're like a gnat shouting at the universe. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like trying to stop a tidal wave with your little finger. Because your good is going to get to you whether you like it or not. Your blessings are going to happen. The love is going to happen whether you like it or not. The end is certain. The end is certain.
I also like the fact that when we go against God's way, we're like gnats. But when we're in line with God, we're like that tidal wave.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. I want to be part of the ocean
Yeah.
and not just continue to be a separate foam drop, personally.
I'm really glad to know we're innocent now. Seriously.
You are innocent. You are innocent. You are innocent. You are innocent. You weren't born in sin. You were born in innocence. I was so serious about believing I was guilty that when I came into this dimension, I was immediately told I was born in sin. That's how serious I was about believing I was guilty. From the time I was a kid, I was taught I was born in sin. And that God's son was killed because of me and died for my sins. So I came in and I got a core belief in my flawed nature. And then since thought is creative, then I started to reproduce the things that would witness back to me that I was somehow flawed from even being a child. And then I started to love myself at some level enough that something awakened me to a whole new way of thinking. Course in Miracles, Way of Mastery, many different truth books that wanted to correct that error of me thinking there was something flawed in me and that I was inherently weak or bad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And I'm glad that I am around other people who want to know that they're innocent. I'm not the only one. And so, thank you, mighty companions. I was promised I would not go on from here alone. So thank you. Thank you. Because you're all here because you chose to be. We're all with each other because we chose to be. And so we are each other's saviors. And a savior is just somebody who remembers who you really are when you forget. When I forget that I'm loving and loved and beautiful and holy, then you as my savior are to remind me of that. That's it. Not supposed to get all in my business. All right? How I live my personal life and you live your personal life, I don't have nothing to do with that. I'm just here to remember that you are good, you are beautiful, and you're holy. The rest of it is none of my business. As a matter of fact, I might remember that you're good and beautiful and holy longer if I don't know your business. If I really don't know that much about you personally. Like right now, so far as I know, you all cool. You know what I'm saying? Until you show me different or tell me different or act another way, you haven't done anything to me. So far as I know, you're totally innocent. Unless you give me your story. So who's perpetuating your story? You are. You could show up tonight and express yourself the way you see yourself as being right now. I wouldn't have a past to compare it to, so I'd have to accept you as you show up right now. That's why sometimes it's good to move away from people who know you well when you really want to make a change. Because sometimes it's just, they got you locked into a perception of who they think you are, and it's easier sometimes to just leave that behind and show up as who you are now with people you have no personal history with, and then nobody's judging you.
Way more fun.
It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun, But if you have friends that you all are both conscious enough to let each other be reborn every day, and not only that, support the change, that's also cool. But you know who those people are.
Yeah.
You know who to call when you want to feel guilty.
Yes.
All of us do. We know exactly who to call when we don't want to feel better. You know, and then we know who to call when we really want to feel better, right? So it says, choose then, beloved friends. Oh, he says, Christ is, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's go to surrender the dream. Anybody else? Surrender the dream of the dreamer. Beloved and holy children of light divine, it is our honor to come forth and abide with you, to communicate with you. We come forth to join with you, to join with you, to join with you, to join with you, because the sole purpose of creation is to do what? Extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful. What greater good could there be than to create communication that can come forth from the Christ mind, your real self, to every aspect of the sonship in such a way that the mind is stirred to seek ways to heal its illusions and therefore return home to the recognition of what has never changed. So we are here to create communication that stirs each other up so much that it makes us want to heal everything that hurts us or makes us feel a lack of love for ourselves. We're supposed to stir each other's minds to the point that we want to heal all of our false ideas so that we can go home to the love that we are. So that's a real conversation. A conversation that so inspires you, you want to do everything possible to let go of everything that hurts you in any way. What could be more holy than to use each moment of relationship in the recognition that only God's children can truly relate one to another, which means the purpose of our relationship is to heal our illusion, which is our false ideas. Illusions of false. So we're here to heal our false ideas together. And it says, so that the holy, which is the innocent, can be extended. So what could be more beautiful than to join together, you and we, I like that, in this moment to recognize that what is truly beautiful is the recognition that we are totally one with that which created us. That is actually the truly beautiful recognition, is that you are completely united with that which can give you everything. Why don't I have it? Because I think I'm here for some other reason than to extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful. I think I'm here to achieve power, money, specialness, and physical pleasure. I want power, money, specialness, and physical pleasure. Not to necessarily extend the good, the beautiful, and the holy. So, therefore, the extension of the good, the holy, and the beautiful needs to become your sole purpose, as it is ours. So my sole purpose is to extend what's good and what's beautiful and what's innocent here. That's my only purpose. That's my only real goal. Don't have a lot to figure out. Makes my life a lot simpler. Makes it a lot more peaceful. It takes away a lot of the effort. It makes things a lot easier because now I'm not in conflict about what I'm here to do. For only when the mind is used for this purpose alone can there be the perfect remembrance of the love, which is the kingdom. Okay, so why don't I remember the truth about myself? Because I have a whole lot of purposes other than the purpose of extending what's good, what's holy, and what's beautiful. I have other desires than that. You have sought us out because you desire the kingdom, which is real love, because the weight of your illusions have become too painful. The games that you have sought to play within this dream of separation no longer satisfy you, no longer seduce you, no longer gratify your imagination. Now, that's true. This thinking that I'm separate from everybody no longer satisfies me. This dream of separation no longer seduces me, and it doesn't gratify me. How do I know that? Because anytime I get anything here, I always want something else immediately. It almost never satisfies for just a second, and I'm on the hunt for the next thing that I think is going to gratify me. So, beneath all your dreams, you have heard the call of God who sent you forth and asked you, little child, return, return. I'm with you still, so let's create together the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Hey, psst, psst, return, return, I'm still with you, so let's create together something that's good, something that's beautiful, and something that's holy. The only difference that can yet seem to remain between us, the invisibles, and you is that all of us involved in this work, from what you might perceive to be the other side, we're just beings, aspect of the mind, just like you. So those that are invisible, who are still with us, are just like us, except they're playing out of time, and we're still playing in time. So we seem to have chosen before you to heal all illusion and return home. So the parts of us that has returned home, that's on the other side, the only difference between us and them is that we're still playing in the illusion of separation and fear, and they're the parts of us that's outside of the illusion of separation and fear. So he says, therefore we call to you from across the very thin veil of illusions that yet seems to keep you where you are, seemingly separate from us. That illusion, by the way, that keeps us separate from you is not the physical body, nor is it the physical dimension, since in reality the physical dimension does not exist. In reality, the physical dimension doesn't exist. In reality, the physical dimension doesn't exist. What does exist is thought, streaming from your mind, creating and out-picturing. So you're looking at out-picturing that is streaming from your mind. That's what you're looking at in this room. You're looking at pictures that you are out-picturing from your mind and being held within your mind. So everything you see outside your mind is actually in your mind. So the very physical body becomes only a symbol of what the mind has decided to believe. Your body is a symbol of what your mind has decided to believe, and your mind has decided to believe you are separate. So you decided to be separate, and so you have a body that is the symbol of your desire to be separate. Because if you want to be separate, you have to have something to be separate in. And that's where the body came from. Your desire to be separate produced a body that puts you in a situation that now you look like you're separate. See, this is so simple. It makes so much sense. It takes supreme consciousness to stay focused, I guess, for some people. But for me, it's exciting to hear this. Because surely I am separate from God. He says the mind has decided to believe such as, surely I'm separate from God. That is the out-picturing. How do you know you want to be separate from God? Hell, I don't even believe in God. How could I not want to be separate from something I'm not even acknowledging the existence of? How can I not be separate from something I can't even say the word without a lot of resistance? Of course we think we're separate from God. Most people in the truth don't even want to hear the word God. So of course it looks like there's no God. I don't want to believe in one. And whatever I believe is outpictured. So therefore there's no evidence of it when I don't believe in it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
How do you know you got a God issue? You can't even say the word.
Or you judge other people who say it.
Or you judge other people who say it, or you feel afraid, or you feel separate. So we're not being condemned, we're just getting an explanation. We're not being chastised, we're just getting an explanation. What's the explanation? Well, you have a physical body. Okay, what's that? It's a symbol of what you want to believe. What is that? That you're separate from God. Okay, so you're out picturing it. Yes. So I will look upon a physical body. Yes. Then I will identify myself with it. I'm Earl Purdy. And therefore seem to peer out from the body. And see great distance between myself and others. Why? Because I want to be separate. Why? Because I just wanted to do something. That's what's so deep. He says, actually, you're taking it all too serious. He says, what you did was, as an infinite being who can create anything through your thought, was you just said, I wonder what it would be like to think I was separate from everything, including God. Just like a child that plays make-believe. Okay, what would it be like to think that I'm separate from everybody? What would it be like to act just the opposite of everything I am? What would it be like to think I'm separate? Oh, all right. Now, how can I do that? Well, I need a symbol of that. Oh, I'll make a little juicy black body. All right. And then, after that, I'm going to identify with it. My social security number is. Then I'm going to look like I'm looking at other bodies. Because everybody else, the minute I want to see myself as that way, I'm going to see everyone else as that way. So as soon as, the more I identify myself as being a separate body, the more I'm going to identify you as being separate bodies, because the outer always reflects the inner. Right? And I also join with the other parts of me that also want to believe they're separate. And you all are doing a great job at peering at me through your bodies. I want to acknowledge you're doing some serious damn peering right now. It's some serious peering. Some serious doggone peering, I tell you.
We got it down.
Y'all got it down, right? And then he says, then there's a distance between us. And then when you get rid of the distance between the bodies, you call that hanging out together, hugging, dancing, sex, whatever, which is never, sex is never really joining, right? Sex is never, physical sex is not real. You never really join. You never really connect, because if you did, you couldn't disconnect. You can only disconnect because you were never connected.
That's profound.
Yeah. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
So you just sort of plug in instead.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but nothing's happening.
Right.
Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. We're feeling guilty about nothing, basically.
Right.
Actually. We're just giving it all the meaning that it has. Now, that doesn't mean I'm encouraging you to do it. Okay. You'd be surprised at what I've heard, I've said in classes. Well, we was at the class tonight, the other night with Earl, and he told us that the body wasn't really enough, so we could just do it. The end of that class was go plug in. Because I'm going to tell you what happens when people do that.
Yeah.
what happens when people do that, when they first, a lot of times when people hear they're innocent and they've been feeling guilty about their bodies and especially about their sexuality, and they get into new thought and metaphysical truth, they go friggin' crazy. And they do everything with their bodies that they've been afraid to do because they thought it was something to feel guilty about, or they would go to hell, right? So then they just go wild with their bodies. So they think about all the fantasies and thoughts they've always had in whatever area, and they go, oh, but I'm innocent, so I can do it. And what they don't realize is they have done nothing to undo those years of programming that's beneath the surface. And then later on, they crucify themselves for what they've done and blame me. Yeah. I was right up there alongside Jesus. I've been crucified by my students too. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've had my crucifixion just like Jesus had.
You said I could do this.
You told me that I saw you. You said it was okay.
That's a good lesson too.
It's like, no, I just shared the truth, and then you interpreted it the way you want to justify what you wanted to do. Because really, the ones you become really have a sense of freedom and innocence about your body, you actually have more discernment and more discipline. It's just the opposite from what you think it would be. Because your peace will start to mean so much to you, and sanity and realness and real love will start to mean so much to you that you are extremely discerning about who you allow yourself to experience any kind of physical intimacy with. It's just the opposite. And then you look for other people that are sane enough for you to feel safe enough to join with, and then that ends up you meaning you don't do nothing. Like in most cases, you end up not doing a doggone thing because you keep saying, I'm going to put the mind first. I'm going to wait till there's somebody that's really sane and loving. Then you go, oh, I'm done. Because it takes a while to attract other people who are just as sane and loving when you first change your mind. You're the only one at first. So you have to be extraordinarily patient and discerning about what you do with your body. Because you want peace. You want the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Then you realize it's no big deal anyway, so you know that holding someone's hand can be as satisfying as anything else you would do of a more intimate nature, once you begin to wake up. So then whatever you do physically becomes just optional, but it's no longer what you think you have to do in order to feel that orgasmic spiritual delight of joining in a holy way. Because nothing about your feelings any longer dependent on what your body does or doesn't do. So if you choose to enjoy it, you would choose to enjoy it. If you don't, you don't. It's no big deal anymore because you're innocent. But if you're obsessed, and you gotta have it, like he says, you're no longer what? Seduced by the illusion. That's what he means. You're not seduced anymore. You're at a place of conscious choice.
I'm sorry, Earl, could you go over that?
No, that'd just be too much to cover again. But it's gonna be on the internet. Yeah, just remember this date. No, basically what I'm saying is when you begin to wake up, Chris, and you know how innocent you are and you know you're not going to be condemned because you were created by love, then you're going to start being more discerning about what you do and who you do it with because your peace will be more important to you than a peace. So all of a sudden you are more discerning. But if you've been repressing, inhibiting, denying yourself, being made to feel guilty about your body and your sexuality, then you're going to be obsessed with having the body. And you'll put the body before your peace because you feel like you're getting a chance to experience something you denied to yourself. And then the part of you that wants you to feel guilty wants you to do the thing you'll make yourself feel guiltiest about first. So you'll be attracted to the very things that make you feel guilty, and you'll have a passion to do them. Okay? Okay. Yeah. So so let me finish this paragraph, and then we'll get a chance to hear some thoughts about some of this. Thank you for letting me talk to you as you are, adults. It's so refreshing. Doesn't happen a lot in so-called spiritual classes. People don't talk like adults and talk about the things that we deal with in the dream. And so I'm glad that we can talk about the body and we can talk about anything here. Because we really want to have the good, the beautiful, and the holy. We no longer want to go through pain on the roller coaster. Okay. Because you'll get to the point that it doesn't mean anything if it's not love. It just won't mean anything, you know. Okay. Because the purpose of pleasure is the same as the purpose of pain. Pleasure has the same purpose as pain does. They are exactly the same. The purpose of pleasure is to make you think you are a separate body. Ooh, that feels good. Oh, just massage my shoulder. Ooh, that feels good to hold your body. See, what is it doing? You are a body. Don't that feel good? You're the separate body. Doesn't that feel good? You're that separate body. Doesn't that feel good? Oh, it's hot. I touched that hot stove. Oh, pain. You are this body. Oh, pain. You are this body. You see? So the purpose of pleasure is exactly as the purpose of pain. They both make you think you are the body, identify with the body, and that you're peering through the body and you're experiencing everything as a body. So it witnesses to the idea that you're separate from God and separate from everybody else. That's the purpose of pleasure and pain. Now, love takes that same desire and sees the greatest pleasure that you're having physically, and it sees the greatest pain that you're having physically as a call for the help of God. So to spirit, to God, to love, according to this in the Course, when you're in the deepest throes of physical pleasure, or when you're in the deepest throes of pain, you are saying, help. So some of you say help in ways that you call physical pleasure, and some of you say help in what you call physical pain. So whether you're having the greatest physical pleasure that you can come up with, your greatest physical pleasure fantasy that you could imagine, to love, all you're saying is, I'm calling for you, love. And that's how you deal with the physical pleasure, physical pain dilemma. Got it? So it's not saying that you're sinful because you choose to have physical pleasure. It's saying if you look at it correctly, it will free you. That every single thing you do can be used to free you and bring love to you. No matter what. No matter what. That's a love beyond what I can conceive of yet. That no matter what happens in the world, it could be used for the purpose of love is beyond my comprehension. Right? So it says, and if there is a great distance between myself and other bodies or forms, then surely, if there's a distance between me and you, there's got to be a really big distance between me and God. It's a distance between me and you. So me and my Creator must have even greater distance. Okay. Any comments after that very light section?
So this is all talking about what it's like when we decided that we wanted to have this experience of being separate, and that's why we're here. So now we're waking up to wanting to see it differently and having an experience, and that's what this is all guiding us.
That's right. Yeah, we're the ones who decided we wanted to. Well, notice it says, well, the only reason why you want to wake up is because you've already done everything, and that's why you get bored and frustrated all the time, and that's why nothing that you do ever satisfies you, or maybe why nothing really motivates you to be consistent and turned on and excited, because it's hard to be excited about something your soul knows you've done a gazillion times in a gazillion different ways.
I thought I was ADD.
Right, now you know what it really was.
Medication.
Yeah, now you know what the whole thing was about. That's why it's funny. It's like one day you wake up and you realize you're the one that's dangling the carrot in front of your own face. That's the truth. When you wake up, you realize all your life you've been making up stuff and then trying to do it. Then you make up stuff, and then you try to do it. Then you make up stuff, and then you so you're the one working yourself so hard because you're the one that's coming up with the stuff for you to do.
Yeah.
And then he says, then you dangle it in front of yourself and don't love yourself enough to even give it to you. So it's always the next person, the next job, the next circumstance, the next city, the next this, and the next, my happiness is in the next, and it's in the next, and it's in the next. He said, at some point you really recognize you're playing a very cruel game with yourself, and the game is seek and do not find. Want what's not available to you. And you'll see the part of your mind that does it. It won't be interested in the people that love you, a guy or a woman that loves you, but you're totally turned on by somebody that's not available. You know you've done it. You know you've done it. There's a part of us that's always, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah. Seeing what's wrong instead of what's right.
Seeing what's wrong with my experience. Rather than going, what's right with me, we ask, what's wrong with me? And then as soon as you say, what's wrong with me, you see it.
Yes.
If you say, what's right with me, you'll see that. Anybody else? Yes.
So when you were saying about, like, when we do pleasure and pain, it's a call for love. The way that I'm seeing that is that then what stops that is our judgments around.
Right.
Like, oh, I screwed up and I'm blah, 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 blah. Instead of being like, oh, I made that mistake. And wow, like looking at like he says here, like in another lesson, he says, looking at it with innocence and wonder and curiosity.
Yeah, like, oh wow, there I go again. You know, a relationship from hell. You know, there I go again, trying to make myself think I'm broke. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to look at it with a sense of wonder, and we don't do that. We judge ourselves. Monday, I had a jury summons, and I had to go to the court for jury duty, and to see if I was going to be picked for jury duty. And one of the things, and so anybody that's done that, you know that they call you and then they ask you questions to see if they're going to put you on the jury, on the trial or whatever. And so, you know, obviously it was not something I consciously thought I wanted to do. And so I was thinking about, well, what am I going to tell them when they ask me about my thoughts? So, okay, I said, well, I got put on the little card, I'm a minister teacher. And then I said, well, what I'm going to do is tell them that I teach classes in forgiveness and that I don't believe in punishment but correction. That I would just simply tell the truth. What a radical idea. I was going to do. So I was sitting up there, and they were getting ready to get the thing started to decide I was going to be a part of this trial. And I said, well, I'm just going to tell the truth. That I just teach forgiveness. And then the judge said, oh, I just got a message. The defendant is not going to be able to get here because of some kind of transportation difficulty. You're released. As soon as I said, I'm just going to tell the truth, he said, get out of here. Right? Because the thing about being in the courthouse is a very interesting energy, psychically. Because you're in a place that's specifically constructed for judgment. That's what it is. You're literally sitting right in the middle of a structure that's created for judgment consciousness. And the whole thing is to judge whether a person is innocent or whether they were guilty. And so I knew symbolically that I was in a position to look at that like, oh, okay, I'm getting an opportunity to choose for innocence or choose for guilt. And as soon as I said I was going to tell the truth about my function being to teach forgiveness, there was no need for me to be there any longer because I had gotten the lesson. And that's the way it works in every situation. Whatever situation you're in that you think is a struggle for you or that's making you unhappy, it just means you haven't told yourself the truth about the situation sincerely yet, because when you tell yourself the truth, which is that you're not a victim of it for real, then there's no need to have that experience any longer, because it's only there to get you to recognize the truth. So the longer you wait to own that you're the creator of your experience, the longer you have the experience that's challenging you to make that decision. So as soon as I went, oh, tell the truth, I'm here for forgiveness. Boop, you're released. Anybody else? I love these discussion periods. I get a chance to discuss with y'all. It's so great. Anybody else want to discuss? Somebody in here, break your pattern and say something.
I don't get the part where if I'm in the middle of this orgasmic experience, I'm like the same as being in pain. I'm like,
Well, just keep on having that orgasm experience for a little while longer. You'll start to feel pain. You tell me one pleasure that you don't do for a long time that doesn't turn into pain when you go beyond a balanced experience of it. The heat feels good until I give myself extreme heat. The cold feels good until I give myself too much. The sex feels good until you do it 30 hours.
I've never done it for 30 hours. Maybe that's my problem.
I'm glad you're getting the point of the class. I'm getting thrilled that I'm really bringing home the reason why we're here tonight. Earl told me to have sex for 30 hours in the way of master class last night. He told me to do it until I had pain. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. But everybody see what I'm talking about? Can you think of any pleasure that you take out of moderation that doesn't become pain? The best Thanksgiving dinner in the world will start to hurt you by that third plate. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what it is. If you do too much of it, it turns, so there is no difference. But remember why it said there wasn't no difference between pleasure and pain. It didn't say it because it didn't necessarily feel different. It said that they were the same because they had the same purpose. And that anything that has the same purpose is the same. So
Separation.
Yeah, the original purpose, the purpose of it when we wanted to be separate, right, was the purpose of the body was to convince us that we were separate. Because if I'm going to be separate, I need to convince myself I am. Right? So how can I convince myself I am? By identifying with the body and touching it and feeling pain or pleasure, right? So that convinces me I'm not only it, I'm in it. And then to further convince me that I'm separate, I can see you. And it looks like you are at a distance from me. So now I'm completely fooled and forgotten that I'm a spiritual being that is totally unlimited, that is much bigger than the body. So there is no judgment of whatever you do in the body as being sinful. See, we're so used to this idea of sin and guilt in some form that it's hard for us to believe that there is no judgment about the body. The body is neutral. And so you're either going to use your body for pain or you're going to use your body for love. You're going to either use your body to wake up or you're going to use your body to stay unconscious. But your body is neutral. Your body isn't bad. Your body, you know why? Because your body never makes any decisions about what you do with it. You do. It's not your body sits in here and wants somebody in the room. It's you want somebody in the room and you're trying to use your body to get them. But your body, it would just as soon sit in the chair and never move. It's not making any choices. Think about that. So we can stop attacking our body like our body is betraying us. Our body is not betraying us. Our body is just doing what it's told. It's the size we tell it to be. It looks like we want it to look. It ages at the rate we want it to. It just merely reflects our beliefs and our desires. It is completely a neutral thing.
Nice.
So as we wake up, we become less identified with the pleasure and the pain and don't see it as who we are.
That's right.
Okay.
And then when you don't see it as who you are, then you start to know what the Course calls real pleasure, which is a pleasure that never ends, but it's never painful. It never hurts because it's joy. It's a pleasure you can experience whether you make physical contact with a person or not. Suppose I could enjoy you 100% completely, up and down, in and out, without ever touching you.
Nice.
Then what could stop us from joining? What stops us from joining is the body is the symbol of fear, and when we go to messing with each other's bodies, that's when we start freaking out. Think about it. I can say or do anything in here pretty much if I don't touch your bodies. As long as I don't touch your bodies, you okay. Unless you're somebody that want me to touch your body. In that case, you're not okay if I don't. But then that comes at a price, usually. You know. So even the person that wants you to touch their body, usually there's an agenda, unless they are awake. So you pay for it on the back end, as we've all done. So I'm not saying anything we all haven't experienced if we're adults. So what this is telling us is that there is a level of love and a level of connection and a level of pleasure and a level of joy that is beyond anything that we've ever experienced, but it's not putting down this experience that we're having. It's saying we just need to make the decision that we're going to use our bodies to extend the good, the beautiful, and the holy. It's just, that's all it's telling us. Stop using your bodies to hurt yourself. Stop using your body for fear. Stop using your body for guilt. Stop using your body for anger. Stop using your body for judgment, because that's what makes it hurt.
So then if I comprehend you correctly, if I want to lose weight and be skinny, I gotta think myself thin?
No, if you want to lose weight and be skinny, you need to ask for the correct perception of your body and need to start seeing your body as innocent. Because you gain the weight to make yourself feel guilty. Because the ego is the part of you that doesn't think you deserve to be happy. And so it's the part of your mind that gives you just the opposite of what you asked for so that you can suffer. There's a part of your mind, Chris, that wants you to suffer. Okay? And all of us have that part of our mind. And that part of our mind that wants us to suffer is the culprit behind everything that makes us unhappy and hurt. And these classes are for correcting your perception of yourself so that you will no longer use the part of your mind that wants you to suffer to create your life. That's what these classes are about. Your mind is creating your experience. There's a part of your mind that wants to kill you. I mean, it says in the Course of Miracles, point blank. There's a part, he says, where do you think death comes from? It doesn't come from God. You die because there's a part of you that wants you dead. See, that's too simple and too direct. It's got to be more complex. No, people die because they believe in death. So they go through the death of the body because they believe in death. That's deep. Well, what about the people that look like they died in somebody else's hand? Yeah, you got to make it look that way or you seem especially crazy. I got to make it look like you're the one that's hurting me. It would be totally insane for me to think it's me the one that's doing it to me. So I have to blame you. Earl is making himself miserable all the time, and he's doing everything that makes him sad, and he's keeping himself unhappy. He's the one that's hurting himself all the time. This sounds crazy. So what I'll do is I'll just project it on you all. And I'll say, you're hurting me, and you're hurting me, and you're mistreating me, and you're mistreating me, because I don't want to own that I'm the one that's doing it. Because the minute I recognize that I'm the one that's doing it, at some point I'm going to stop. Wow.
Yeah.
there's going to be a day you just stop. You're going to stop hurting yourself. You're going to stop denying yourself your abundance and your joy. You're just going to stop.
Yes.
So if we were completely enlightened and we didn't die anymore, then maybe would it be we could just decide one day just to hang up the earth suit and say, okay, I'm done with it.
That's exactly where you're at right now.
Yeah.
You're here because you're ready to go to what's next. But the catch is, and it's not really a catch, it's really good news. You allow yourself to have a totally joyful, happy, abundant, prosperous consciousness of your experience here first.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay? So he says you don't go straight from, I'm the most miserable person in the world, enlightenment. He says you don't make that leap. You go from I'm an unhappy body to I'm a happy body. And I wake up.
Right, you don't see miserable, awakened people.
No, there are no miserable awakened people.
So Earl, I just want to, so something that was an aha for me tonight is the part where it talked about we create communication that stirs us up to heal those things that will hurt me.
That's right.
And so when you talk about the judicial system, so the work that I do in restorative justice, I don't know why it makes sense that what you're doing is you're having them tell their story, stirs things up, they talk about the hurt, and miraculously when people do that and they can figure out how to not do that anymore, they are healed. It's like you're giving them an opportunity to be heard, to talk about it, and there's so many people that are judicial systems that are like, that can't work, people need to be punished, you can't just sit around and talk about it. And so when I read that, it's like that's what I see that happens, is it stirs people up in this thing that profoundly impacted them. Maybe they hurt somebody else, but they've been impacted.
That's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point that you're making. That's an example of what the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery teaches about everything is neutral. So everything could be used to heal that we've been using to hurt. Like you said, the judicial system in the hands of love could be something that frees and heals a person. The judicial system in the hands of guilty, fearful, vengeful minds is a way to punish. And that's what we're being told. Don't think you have to be at odds with your physical life and at odds with your physical world just because you see yourself as becoming more enlightened. Actually, what it means is everything you're experiencing in your physical world and every talent that you've acquired and everything you've made will now be used to free you and bring you love and bring you the good and bring you the beautiful and bring you the holy. Because it was neutral. It was just the way you were using it at first that was causing your pain. Now you want to wake up. Now you want to extend the love so everything in your life can now start to bring you awakening and love. So now I don't have to go home and say, oh, I got to throw away my TV because that's not spiritual. No, I could use my TV to look at shows that absolutely remind me of the truth.
Or maybe they stir me up a little.
And when I look at TV now, I just see everything that the Course in the Way of Mastery teaching is being acted out for me as if in a play. That's all. Like if I look at a movie or a TV show, I just see how the people are acting out exactly what these books say. So I don't have I can't watch TV, I can't do this, I can't do. It's like that means you're missing the whole point. It's okay if you choose not to. But anybody that chooses to can get enlightenment out of the TV as quick as the people who think they'll avoid it because they think it's not spiritual.
Just based on how they use it.
It's just based on how they use it. And to me, that is a much more loving way for the truth to operate. Take me where I am.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I got to become something totally different, then you'll help me.
Yeah.
I need to be, if I'm stranded on the island, don't tell me to get over to another one and then you'll rescue me. I need you to pick me up where I'm stranded. So spirit meets us where we are. Love meets us where we are. And if someone loves you, they meet you where you are. They meet you. They don't come up to you telling you all the different things you got to do before they can love you. Run. Run when somebody comes at you with that. Love always accepts you and welcomes you where you are, and then it uplifts you. Your relationship should be uplifting you, not judging you. But if I don't love myself, I'm never going to be attracted to somebody who accepts me. I wouldn't want to go out with somebody that accepts me when I don't love me. That means they're a bad judge of character.
Right.
If I think I'm not good enough, there's a line in the Course in Miracles I was reading the other day. He said it was beautiful. He said the problem isn't a problem of concentration. He says the problem is you don't believe you're worth consistent effort. He said you don't believe you're worth the effort to do what would be necessary to allow yourself to have the happiness given to you. You don't think you're worth the effort. We were talking about that Sunday, about how, it was hard for us to get excited about what we're hearing because there's some part of us that don't even think we deserve to get that much love. So we don't even get excited when someone says, "Beloved, you're so beautiful, you're so..." Really? That's why, I like to tone it down when I'm talking to somebody. I usually want to say more loving things to them than they could handle because they start calling me insincere when I tell them loving things beyond what they believe about themselves. They immediately come back with, "You just said that to everybody." Or, "That ain't really," you know what I'm saying? It's like, "Oh, okay, you can't handle this. Okay, let me bring it back because this is as much as you can take." And don't you ever think for a minute that that's not the way love does. Love backs off you when you start resisting it. Fear doesn't care about your volition, and it keeps coming at you when you don't want it. So somebody that keeps coming at you that you clearly indicated you don't want, you can be rest assured that's not love. That's you a challenge. So I'm going after you because you a challenge. See, that's unconscious as a rock. No conscious being is going to try to overcome the will of someone else. That's the definition of conscious, is that you want willingness. You want what's willing. You want what's totally irresistible to you, and you are totally irresistible to it.
Yes.
I wouldn't spend 2 seconds trying to seduce a woman. The fact that I would even have to means she can't be the right one. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to get how this whole thing operates. What's for you is for you. What's for you moves toward you. What's afraid of you moves away. So if I see somebody moving away, I move away. If I see somebody moving toward me and I want to move toward them, I move toward them.
How do you explain people who worry about you and they think that they're doing it from a place of love?
Well, I just see that as being a call for love. I take in consideration that their purpose is cool.
Okay.
Okay, at some level they think that's helpful.
Okay.
But really what it's really showing is attack. Continued concern is really attack. Because you are just surrounding me with fearful thoughts.
Yeah.
And parents are notorious at that. Of thinking that they're protecting their children by worrying about them all the time, and all they're saying is, "My child can be hurt, my child can be hurt, my child can be..." Damn, my child's hurt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You can't be with your child. Like when my wife and I separated, I had 2 young children at the time. I couldn't be with them all the time, but I was in the course, so I knew the Holy Spirit was. And then I would do what I could do from the level that I could do it. Then I had to let it go. Plus, I had to keep in mind that my children had their own lessons to learn in this life that didn't have anything to do with me anyway. That their soul had chosen to give itself certain experiences for their soul growth that's totally independent of what kind of parent I was. I've seen friends who did everything so-called right and had children that were in trouble, are challenging themselves for their soul to grow because they're giving themselves those experiences because there's something about their evolution that is going to come through those experiences. And people say, well, what's the difference between fate and free will? Fate is anything you experience because you didn't have the awareness to do it another way. That's what you're always fated to experience what you don't have the consciousness to avoid and look another way. That's fate. Think about it. if you don't know any better and you're not aware and you're not a conscious choice, then whatever happens is your fate. For some reason, you had definitely decided to have that experience. And see, and what's happening now is we're becoming conscious. Like I said, you get conscious that you can choose, you can decide, and so now we are no longer victims of fate unless we want to continue to be the same way, even though we know better. Then that means this is an experience that I have definitely decided to have because I know I can choose for something else and I'm not doing it. So that means this is an experience that I have definitely chosen to have, and there is some blessing in it for me if I'll ask to see it. You know how you had those situations where you, like a relationship that you found yourself attracted to, and even though you tell yourself, I know better than this, I know better than this, you're in it, right? And then you go, oh my God, I was fated to experience this. So therefore I need to ask for another way to look at it because I've obviously chosen to be in it. And then it can be used to free you instead of to hurt you because you owned it. Wow, that's deep. Woo! So let's stop here. Can we acknowledge us for listening to this tonight, y'all? Oh, just for having an open mind that we have. You know, most people don't have that kind of open mind. So I'm gonna do a quick review at the end, and I want to invite you to share in the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you so much. I'm a full-time teacher, so I really appreciate your sharing. I don't charge for my classes. Why? Because I want people to be able to come regardless of their financial situation. And I'm trusting that those who can and will and who are led to will share. I'm sustained by the love of God. That's what I'm attempting to recognize all the time. Those of you online who would like to share, go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and you can do it there. And I'm also available for one-on-one personal sessions called Clarity Sessions, where we take all this stuff that we're talking about and learn it, and we bring it to your personal situation and show you another way to handle it or to look at it. Wow. Let me take me a breath here just for a second. Man, that was a trip. All right. Those of you who signed up for the workshop, to guarantee you a place in it because the response has been very powerful.
I don't know anything about
Go ahead and pay. That's the easiest way. Okay, you can do it on my website by going to the donation button on my website, and you can do it here. It's $100 financial investment for the days from 10 to 5 on the first Saturday in February 6th. And it's going to be what I call advanced mind and heart training, which means it's very in-depth truth for a day, together with some things that I'm going to be doing with you to help bring it home at a deeper level. It is not for people who are not committed enough to their awakening that they can't last 30 minutes and they're gone. Okay, if you're one of these people, you're probably going to be in total hell. So do not do that to yourself. If 1 hour is more than you can handle, you probably can't handle all day. I'm just as a little hit. Okay, so, but those of you who at the end of the hour going, oh, I can't even believe that time is up. Okay, you probably really want to go deeper and you're ready. And that's just the truth. I've been doing this 40 years. Now, so I'm not in it for the money, obviously. And so I'm trying to tell you, come to something like this if you're really at that point that you really are ready to challenge yourself and really go deep. And you love this stuff. And you love me. And you love how it comes through me. I say that all the time. If you're a person that's suspicious of me and you still got me under the microscope, please do me a favor. Don't come to nothing I'm doing. Please, just be loving enough to stay away. Please. I'm sincere about that. Because just go around somebody you trust. I want to be surrounded. I don't mind people asking questions. I'm not saying that means you have to go along with whatever I say. I'm always telling you that you don't have to believe what I say. But I also don't have a problem asking for people that love me or appreciate me or want to be the people that do things with me. I think that's a very sane request to make to people. You do well to do it in your own personal life. Let the people who want to judge, bless them and release them. Just bless them and release them. Because they still want to scream on the roller coaster. They still don't want to have a joyful life yet. To me, it's enormously arrogant to think that your job is to judge all your brothers and sisters to see if they're worthy of you, while you're the one that's judging them. That's deep to me. It's very deep. And I can only see it in others because it's in me, in my mind. So I know that there's nothing that I'm seeing in anybody else that's not in some part of my mind. And all I have to do is own that that's in my mind, and then you don't have to meet it physically in your world.
Yes.
That's the way it works.
Thank you.
Do I have murderous thoughts? That lessens the possibility I'll be murdered. Do I have murderous thoughts and I'm in denial about it? Probably going to attract some attack to me to show me I got some attack thoughts. So you can think pretending that you don't feel the way you feel makes you a good person. But what you're doing is ordering up a lot of stuff to show you you're lying to yourself so you can be healed. I'd rather just go ahead and admit it. I'd rather just go ahead and admit, yeah, I have jealousy, I have insecurity, I have lack thoughts, I have anger thoughts, I get sick sometimes, I have all these thoughts. And they're not all of my thoughts, but they're there. And I'm studying this so I can learn how to let them go. Then, okay, there's no need for the universe to show up to show me that. So don't ever feel like you're failing just because you'll admit to yourself honestly what you're feeling. All of your feelings. All of them. Not just the best dressed ones. All of them. So, anything anybody want to say before I say the last parts for the evening? Anything about this class that really stood out for you?
Well, I don't know. Well, it's probably just me, but I think this is one of the best classes I've ever been to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm one of these beings that are just like you. The more I feel appreciated, the more I give. So thank you. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
You single-handedly inspire me in ways you'd never recognize.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Because I want the same thing you all would want if you were in the same position I am. Ask yourself, would you like to be sitting in front of the group and me seeing you in terms of how you respond? You see what I'm saying? You know, give what you would like to receive. Realize that it's not easy to stand up and sit up in front and stand up in front of a group of people and share the kind of stuff that I'm sharing. So the more I feel appreciated, the more I'll give because I feel safer, and so I can be used as an even better conduit. And you're the same way. You know how you treat people that really acknowledge you and appreciate you. You know how much more you give. We all do. I'm no different from you. I'm no different from you. And I'm diligently working on getting to a level of consciousness where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That I'm so centered within myself that it just does not matter whether anybody appreciates me or not. That's the long-term goal. But until I get there, it's good to surround yourself with people who don't hesitate to let you know they appreciate you. So don't feel like you're codependent because you want to be around people who still acknowledge you and see your beauty. That's cool. That's great. That's cool. One day you won't need it, but there's nothing wrong with receiving it while you're on the way. I'm so inspired now. I was talking about feeling appreciated, and I'm so glad God heard. Don't tell me God don't have a sense of humor. Do not tell me that the universe does not have a sense of humor. That was great. I need to feel appreciated. That was the loudest yawn I'd heard in 40 years of teaching. That was great. Thank you, Paris. I appreciate it. I love you. All right. Okay, then. Y'all go home. I'm through. We over with this. I'm gone. I can take a hint. So, if you take care of the workshop. If you're here for the first time, sign up for the contact list so you can get links to the classes that I video. I appreciate y'all so much.